prāyeṇālpāyuṣaḥ sabhya kalāv asmin yuge janāḥ sumanda-matayo manda-bhāgyā upadrutāḥ. This is actually a very famous verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you have this shloka memorized? Okay, 1, 3, 4. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see two parallel discussions going on. Sometimes you read Sri Shuka Uvacha, and sometimes you read Sri Sutta Uvacha. When Shukadeva Goswami was speaking the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, there were thousands of sages present over there. And among the sages, there was a great sage called Sutta Goswami. And Sutta Goswami, his memory was so sharp that just by hearing once, he memorized the whole Bhagavatam. And later, in Namashwaranya, is probably you know, is in North India near Lucknow. And in Namashwaranya, the sages were having a discussion. And what was their theme? Their theme was, how will people in Kaliyuga be saved? These sages were like spiritual astrologers. They could see what the symptoms would be in Kaliyuga. And they wanted to know, how can society be saved? And they selected Sutta Goswami to guide them. And Sutta Goswami was able to repeat exactly the whole Bhagavatam that he heard from Shukadeva Goswami. So in this famous verse, Sutta Goswami is giving us information on the symptoms of the age of Kali. And when you read this, you will see how accurate the sages were. 5,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, Sutta Goswami described what the symptoms would be. And you can hear them and you will be surprised also. So what are the symptoms of the age of Kali? Duration of life. Duration of life will go down. So you may say, but our statistics show that the duration is increasing. The mature will argue, no, it's not going down, it's gone up. No, compared to other ages, it has gone down. In Satyuga, for example, the lifespan was 100,000 years. It's a fact. In Satyuga, the lifespan got reduced 10 times more, to 10,000. In Dwapara Yuga, it got reduced to 10,000 times more, to 1,000 years. In Kaliyuga, it gets reduced 10 times more, to a maximum of 100. But frankly, in Kaliyuga, in the present environment, if you cross 70, 80, you're considered lucky. So men have short lives in Kaliyuga. Then, men are quarrelsome. Is that true or false? Are people quarrelsome? They're quarrelsome everywhere. Of course, one may say it's good for lawyers. It's good for the legal profession. The more quarrelsome people are, better off, the more money they make. By and large, if you see, people are very quarrelsome in today's age. And the quarrelsome nature gets exhibited from a young age. People are quarrelsome. Or minor issues, there are so many conflicts. Is that true? And the quarrelsome nature starts at home. At home, everyone's quarreling with each other. The divorce rate is so high. The children get separated from their parents. And then, in the business world, people are quarreling with each other. In the political world, they're quarreling with each other. There's so many quarrels, so many wars going on, so many undesirable, violent acts of terrorism are going on. That is a symptom of the age of Kali. People are very quarrelsome. And the reason why people are quarrelsome is there's a lack of spiritual culture. In the absence of spiritual culture, people become very quarrelsome. And another reason why they are quarrelsome is people are greedy. Everyone wants more and more and more and more. And when you can't realize all this, then you become quarrelsome. So quarrelsome is there, and this is a symptom of the age of Kali. People are very quarrelsome. Then they are spiritually lazy. It says you are lazy. So you may say, how are people lazy? I see them working all the time. Then you may see them working, and to make ends meet, people may be working on 2 or 3 jobs. But spiritually, people are lazy. You invite them for a spiritual program, they'll give you so many excuses. You invite them for a mature program, they'll be enthusiastic. I was told in India, in marriages where they serve liquor, the attendance is very high. In marriages where they don't serve liquor, the attendance is lower. So people are spiritually lazy. And they're spiritually lazy. They don't take such deep interest in spiritual life. And due to lack of spirituality, we see so many ills in society. So by and large, people are very lazy. Then they are misguided. Is that true? We may think that our politicians will give us guidance, but we are being misguided constantly. The politicians all over the world have more or less the same agenda. And what's the agenda? Let me occupy this position. And when the elections are there, they promise the moon. But later, hardly anything gets realized. So, people are misguided. The educational institutions, education means knowledge by which ignorance can be destroyed. But the educational institutions that we have, they by and large cater to only material knowledge. Very few of them give spiritual knowledge. And what does material knowledge lead us to? Material knowledge leads us to activities where we try to satisfy our senses. And what is the nature of this sense enjoyment? Doesn't matter how hard you try, you can never satisfy them. In the Bhagavatam, you read about a king, Yayati. He had the facility for unlimited sense enjoyment for 10,000 years. but he still could not satisfy his senses. So people are misguided. You go to any educational institution, there's no shortage of educational institutions. There are educational institutions around the world. The best are in America, of course. But do they teach you about spiritual life? Prabhupada was once giving a lecture at a very prominent institute in Boston. And he asked his audience, is there any department in this university that tells you what happens after death? And they were silent. 2 years ago, I was lecturing at Stanford University in California. There I discovered they had 2,300 departments. 2,300. But not a single department that told you what happens after that. So people are misguided. People are misguided to believe spirituality is not important. Like in many countries around the world, because of so-called secularism, they don't give any spiritual knowledge. Even in a country like India, you can't give any spiritual knowledge because they have officially a policy of secularism, which indirectly becomes atheism because they don't give any spiritual knowledge. So people are misguided. Athata Brahma Jigyasa. Now we've got this human life. Don't waste it. Use it to understand, to investigate what is the purpose of life. But unfortunately, nobody is taking it too seriously. People recognize our educational system has failed. Talk to any learned individual, you'll see that. A few months ago, we had a major program in Delhi in which there were 8,000 youth, and the Minister for Education was invited to lecture. He was frank enough in admitting our educational system has failed and ISKCON is doing what we should be doing. So people are misguided. People have to be guided from a young age. Prahlād Maharaj had a great fortune that he received spiritual knowledge when he was in the womb of his mother. Prahlād's father was performing great austerities in Mandāḥ hill, and the demigods, they were already so disturbed by Hiranyakashipu's austerities that they thought if Prahlād's wife, mother, or Hiranyakashipu's wife gives birth to another demon, our living would become unbearable. So they were dragging Prahlād's mother with a plan that as soon as the child came out, they would kill the child. And then the Muni showed up and said, why are you dragging this innocent lady? Oh, don't you know who she is? And the Muni said, the child in her womb is a great devotee, not a demon. And he will never be able to kill the child, even if he tried. So now the Muni gave Prahlād's mother protection in his ashram. And Prahlād, being in the mother's womb, heard the divine instruction. So Prahlād, when he entered school, he began to preach. And his father could not understand where is Prahlād getting this knowledge from. And he chastised Sanda and America, the two teachers of Prahlād. You are not doing a good job. It appears that the Vaishnavas are coming in disguise and you don't catch them. And Sandamurka said, Sir, we are Brahmanas. Don't accuse us for something that we haven't done. We ourselves are bewildered where he gets his knowledge from. So Prahlad, what did he say? Koma ashar prāyeṇa dharmam bhagavatam. Spiritual knowledge must be cultivated from the age of 5. Why? Because the human form of life is very rare. So people are misguided. They should be taught from a young age that without spirituality, humanity is a failure. But instead, they are taught that sense enjoyment is the goal of life. So people are misguided. And they are misguided from a young age. From a young age, for example, children are exposed to the tube or television. Studies have shown that those students who have watched crime on TV at a young age grow up and engage in criminal acts. So they are misguided. The educational system is misguiding us. The political system is misguiding us. At all levels we are being misguided because the leaders themselves are misguided. In the Bhagavatam it is said, is the blind leading the blind. When the blind is leading the blind, what happens? What happens? Where do they fall? They fall in the ditch. When the blind is leading the blind, they all fall in the ditch. In the Back to College magazine, many years ago, about 20 years ago, there was a painting. That painting was taken from a museum in Paris called La Louvre. La Louvre means in French, the museum. In La Louvre, they have a painting of a blind leading other blind men and they've all fallen in a ditch. They must have got the idea from Prahlad Maharaj. Anyway, when the blind lead the blind, they all fall in the ditch. So our leaders can't guide us because they have no training. In the past, the children would be educated. The leaders have no training. So they misguide us. And at all levels, we are being misguided. We go to school and college where we should be getting the spiritual knowledge, but you don't get any spiritual knowledge. So by and large, people are misguided. True or false? True or false? Then unlucky. Unlucky in the sense they are being misguided. Hence, they are unfortunate. And above all, always disturbed. Is that true? Upadrutāḥ. Upadrutāḥ means always disturbed. So we see that people are always disturbed, isn't it? Why is the stress level so high? You go to any doctor with any disease, tell him, doctor, I have this disease. What's the cause? Stress. You go with any disease, I've been to doctors in America, in India, stress. And what is stress? Depression, tension. There's so much depression. Why? Basically because we have unlimited desires. And when these desires cannot be fulfilled, then you go into depression. As some of you may know, the suicide rate is very high. And the suicide rate is going up in the developed countries at a very fast rate also. Like Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. So people are unlucky and they're always disturbed. Why do people smoke, drink? They always smoke and drink to get rid of their disturbance. They think that if we drink, smoke, our tension will come down. People have turned to drugs. Why do they turn to drugs? They turn to drugs because they think it makes you feel high. At one time, all types of drugs were considered illegal. When Prabhupada started the movement in America, at that time, the drug culture in America was very high. And the government was seriously at that time trying to prevent the widespread use of drugs, because these drugs lower your productivity and lower your intelligence and so on. But they could not do it, so they came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, our government is spending millions of dollars in trying to control the use of drugs, and we fail. And we see that your students give up taking drugs as soon as they join you. So Prabhupada explained that is due to giving them a positive alternative, the Hare Krishna mantra. So people are disturbed due to various factors. No proper guidance. Children from the age of 5 should be guided, but nobody guides them. And what are they guided to believe? Sense enjoyment. And they watch television and etc. And they get exposed to bad habits. You go to school with the hope you'll get knowledge, but as Prabhupada says in the purport here, the environment in schools is like that of a slaughterhouse. And that's why a lot of parents today are doing home education. Today, even in the Karmi world, I'm not talking about the devotee world, home education has become very common. Even in America, among the Christians and traditional Muslims, because even though they have, they don't have proper understanding of religion, and neither can understand that the children are getting spoiled in the school. They get bad habits. So, because our educational system lacks spirituality, any society, any educational process that lacks spiritual knowledge can never be a success. If you want your children to grow up with good habits, give them spiritual education. That is important. So people are always disturbed. And the real reason why people are disturbed is what? Unlimited desire for self-enjoyment. Desire to be fame, to become famous. Desire to have power. We have greed. And so we are always disturbed. And no one trusts anyone. So because people are disturbed, so I was saying that at one time these drugs were illegal. Now in North America, many of these drug sales have become legalized. You have stores where you can buy marijuana. In Canada, it's completely legal. All you need is a doctor's certificate that you need marijuana. So at one time, the whole product was completely illegal. The government was trying to stop it. Now they've given up. They can't stop it. So now they've legalized it. And all you need is a medical certificate But now they've come up with a theory that marijuana is good for health. It can cure some diseases. So, people are so disturbed, people are so misguided. So Prabhupada is a 2-page purport. We only read a part of it. Prabhupada, the purport is making the point, human life is meant for self-realization, but instead of self-realization, people are just taught how human life is meant to imitate animalistic tendencies. So the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the topmost knowledge. In this chapter 1 and 2, almost every verse is so important. Sarva punsam paro dharma yato bhakti adokshale. The highest religion is that which teaches us to render unmotivated devotional service. So, Prabhupada is making the point that in the name of religion, irreligion is being performed. And because we don't give them spiritual education, people are misusing the valuable human life. The human body is like a boat, and this boat is supposed to help you cross over the turbulent ocean of birth and death. But because we don't give the proper education, society is becoming more and more degraded. Just like the heat levels around the world are going up as the effect of global warming. Like in India, it's extremely warm now. And it may not be, the effect may not be the same in Kenya. But we can see that all over the world, the natural ingredients are running out. The world is running out of natural resources. And why is all this happening? Because of lack of spirituality, lack of spiritual culture, and practice of evil activities. For example, Mother Cow, one of our 7 mothers, should be protected. But unfortunately, we don't protect the cow. So because of practice of religion, we see depression and society suffering. So Srimad Bhagavatam not only identifies the problem, it also gives you the solution. Many times you can go to a doctor. The doctor says, "Oh, you have this fatal disease. What's the cure?" Sorry, no cure. The Bhagavatam gives you the disease and the solution. Just like Krishna says in the Gita, Devi Shakviramaya Mama Maya Durataya. To overcome this illusory energy is very difficult. So you may say, if Krishna says it's difficult, why should I even endeavor? What chance do I have? But then Krishna says, Mame Mame Prapadante Mayamatam Tarantate. If you surrender to me, then you can overcome the illusory energy. So Krishna in this verse has pointed out what are the characteristics of people in the age of Kali. They have short lives, they're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and always stressed out, always disturbed. You see people always disturbed. And what is the solution? Pure devotional service, which will be presented in the next chapter. So Bhagavatam identifies the problem and gives you the solution. And every shloka of the Bhagavatam is so important. Prabhupada said, if you just understand one verse of the Bhagavatam properly, your life will be successful. So we are so fortunate. We have the Srimad Bhagavatam in its unadulterated presentation. For example, our Acharyas presented the truth as it is. And if we follow the process, we'll benefit. So therefore, hearing the Bhagavatam is a must. Those of you who are fortunate can come to the temple, but those who can't come to the temple, you also make it a point to read. And if you read regularly, then you'll get spiritual knowledge. Hare Krishna.